Hey everybody, and welcome to Mindful Monday! I am not in my normal spot today because I am in the process of moving everything around in there, and I didn't want to waste any more time trying to set everything up, so I figured I would film the Mindful Mondays in my room for now where I usually do the vlogs. Yeah, so just bear with me, the lighting is kind of cruddy and the audio is bad and the camera's kind of bad, but that's okay. Today I wanted to talk about self-acceptance because I want this month to be the self-care month or the self-love month, whatever you want to call it. And I feel like this is one of the biggest issues for people is learning how to love yourself and learning how to set boundaries for how other people treat you. And I know this is what I struggled with for a long time, and it's really hard because there's no set method. There aren't any specific steps for me to tell you where I can just be like, oh, do this and this and this, and then you do them and become perfectly happy with yourself and everything like that. It's a journey, and it's one that you have to constantly work on, and it's it never ends because you always find you fix something and then there's always something else. Just thinking of self-acceptance as a journey that doesn't end, and that's okay because it gets fun after a while once you get all of the heavy baggage and stuff out of the way and you start really being able to show self-compassion and stuff. It's a lot easier to start getting into all of the fun stuff like psychology and how to increase productivity and all of that kind of cool stuff. But yeah, so I just wanted to give a tip today about self-love and self-acceptance. It's really hard when you don't have a lot of self-esteem or you have things about yourself that you don't like. It's really hard to learn to accept them and accept yourself and be kind to yourself. And so the one tip I want to give you is to treat yourself as if you were a best friend. And that's kind of confusing. You're probably what? But for me, it was easy for people to be oh yeah, just be kinder to yourself, be gentler to yourself. And I was I can't do that. I'm not in a place where I could love myself for me yet. So what I pictured doing was I pictured practicing for a next friendship or a next relationship. And I was I'm gonna treat myself how I want to treat the person who is going to become my partner in the future. So I know that sounds really weird, but for some reason it works because I couldn't do it for myself back then. And so just pretending I was being kind to a friend or a partner as practice really helped me. So now you're probably well, Lexie, easier said than done, but what does that mean to treat yourself like a best friend? So let me tell you. So that means being really mindful about what is coming up in your thought process. For a friend, you wouldn't want to make them feel bad, right? If you're a good friend, you're not going to want to hurt them on purpose. And so just pretend you're talking to someone who's not you when you're having thoughts about yourself, and be conscious. If you start to have a negative thought or you're insulting yourself, stop it right away. And I used a visualization to kind of retrain my mind, so whenever I would get a negative thought, I would imagine pounding this huge red button that was just stop, and I would just picture pounding it really hard and changing the thought. So I would snap out of that thought process and I would switch the thought to anything that was positive. For me, I like to switch the thought to gratitude. So I know I would do this exercise a lot when I was walking, and I'd be walking around and just letting my mind wander, and every time it went to a negative space, I would imagine pounding the button, and then I would look around me and find something I was grateful for. So it could be something really small, for me, I was grateful for the sunset that I was watching as I was walking. And so when I get a thought that was Lexie, you can't do this thing, you suck at it. And then I just pounded the button and was like, I'm grateful for the sky because it's so pretty. And it just kind of like snaps your brain out of the thought process, and then it trains it to be more positive because you're switching to a more positive train of thought. And you can do that with anything, like you can do it about yourself too. Once you start getting out of the negative self-talk, it'll be easier to pound the button and then switch to a positive thing about you. And that's another thing too, is like you can write your strengths. So we often focus on what we're bad at, but we're not really taught like to focus on our accomplishments or the things that we're doing well. And so make a list of all of your strengths, and if you don't know what they are, which I didn't, ask your friends, and it's okay to do that. Just say that you're working on self-development and you want to know what your top 3 strengths are. And that's what I did. I just sent a list out to a few of my close friends, and they answered and they sent back what they thought were my strengths, and I was able to find trends as well because everyone was saying like the same stuff. And not only does that help you realize what your strengths are, but it can also help you kind of figure out what you want to do in life if you haven't figured that out yet. Having people close to you help you become aware of yourself, the good parts of yourself, because we are so hard on ourselves that we fail to see those good things a lot of the time. So once you have your list of strengths, then when you have a negative thought, you can switch that to one of the things that you're proud of yourself for, or one of the things that you do well. Start just by being aware of your thoughts. And like I would do it on purpose, like I would purposely walk without anything going on. So because I knew my brain was going to go to a negative place, and that's what I wanted because I was ready to replace it with something positive. And after doing that for a while, then I just was able to do it by default in any situation. Put yourself in a controlled environment, so where you know you're going to have negative thoughts, and then have the positive thoughts ready. And so you can start by doing that, and then slowly move into the real world where nothing's planned, and you'll be able to start just retraining your brain by default. When you start getting frustrated with yourself for like your chronic illness or your mental health or whatever's going on, just picture if your friend was having that same problem, picture how you would respond to them, and then use that response on yourself. And like that, it's such a weird concept, but it really helped me because I couldn't be that kind to myself, but I was used to being kind to other people. And so if I just pictured how I would respond to them and then do the same thing towards myself, it eventually became easier where I could just be nice to myself all the time. Because we all deserve to be treated with respect, and that includes how we think of ourselves. We should love ourselves, we should think that we're awesome, and that doesn't make us bad or vain or arrogant or have a big ego like our culture and our society likes to tell us. I felt like it was bad to love myself almost. But then I went too far the wrong way where I didn't have any self-esteem at all, and then it was like, well, it's impossible to accomplish anything like that. So you don't want to live your life like that. I would rather love myself and just make sure I don't get a big head than not have any self-compassion at all and just kind of like float through life not knowing what I'm doing. So yeah, it's totally fine to like love yourself. Don't listen to what people are teaching you, as long as you're humble. And as long as you aren't doing it in like a mean way or rubbing it in other people's faces or thinking that you're better than anyone. That's really the thing. Like as long as you don't think you're better than people, then you're fine. Like you should be equal with everyone. So that means loving yourself, because I assume you're gonna love other people. But yeah, I feel bad because I don't have any like specific things to do. Like that's the closest I can get to kind of helping you find your own self-acceptance, is just to picture how you would respond to your friend in that situation, and then extend that kindness to yourself. And then the second thing is just the visualization of hitting the delete button and changing your thought to something more positive, and starting in a controlled environment where you know you're going to have negative thoughts, and having that list of strengths or things you're grateful for that you know you can use. That is your self-work for this week, is to try those 2 things that I just gave you in this video. Or try one and see if it works, and if it doesn't, try the second one. Mainly it's just a matter of experimenting. What the whole goal that you're trying to do is just change your thoughts from negative self-talk to positive self-talk, and however you need to do that is fine, and it's just the goal is to get it to a more positive mindset. Because with that positive mindset, you'll be able to extend that to yourself as well. So yeah, try those 2 things. Let me know in the comments what you think. I know they sound kind of a little bit strange, but they really worked for me, and I'm really curious to know if they would work for other people. So it's basically like I came up with those things on my own from different people's structures on how to find self-acceptance, and I was like, there aren't any like steps, there aren't any actionable steps for me to do this, and so I kind of like took a bunch of things and I combined them and created my own way of doing it, and I feel like that's how you guys are gonna have to do it too. But yeah, if it helps you at all, let me know in the comments so I know if it's working. Everyone deserves to love themselves and be kind to themselves. If you're struggling with that, know that I really care about you, and you are worthy of love, and you have intrinsic value. It doesn't matter what anyone's thinking about you. It doesn't matter what you think about yourself. Like, you deserve to be here. You deserve to be on this planet. There's a reason you're here. You have a purpose, even if you haven't found it yet. You definitely have one. Everyone has one. Everyone has a gift. I love and care about you guys so much. Have an amazing night, and I will see you next week.